House Chairperson, thank you very much. I think it's very sad that we have to end what's been a rather productive year on the note that we have ended it. Just last week, the ANC benches burst into applause when I disciplined one of our members of our caucus who was in violation of the rules. I would have expected the same from the ANC whippery today, as this Parliament was denigrated in the way that it was by Mr. Dirks. We must all maintain discipline of our own parties as well as discipline in the House. And the behaviour that we witnessed today on the back of the 16 days of activism against women and children was disgraceful. Mr. Chairperson, another year has passed as quickly as the last. 2017 has been a tumultuous year, not only for Parliament, but for South Africa as well. In February, Minister Dlamini brought SASSA to the brink of collapse, imperiling the lives of the 17 million of our countrymen and women who rely on this important social safety net. In March, the President, for the second time, dumped the country into crisis when he reshuffled his cabinet, removing Minister Pravin Gordhan and his deputy, Mcebisi Jonas, together with 20 other changes that sent the markets crashing. Many couldn't work out what was behind these changes, but as the state capture dots are joined, the motives became clear for all to see. In May, the Gupta leaks scandal laid bare the sheer scope and scale of state capture, revealing the rot at the heart of government and exposing billions of rands of people's money looted from the public purse in the biggest smash and grab in our democratic history. In August, the President survived his 8th motion of no confidence. And with the secret ballot having been granted, the House witnessed the largest backbench rebellion, with 177 members of this House voting for his removal. In October, the Finance Minister tabled a budget full of doom and gloom, but not a single solution, policy shift, or bold new initiative to get us out of the mess, or to create jobs for the 9.8 million of South Africans who do not have the dignity of work. And in November, the President was allowed to blatantly ignore a straightforward question. And as we head into December, we do so as an economy that has been junked by the ratings agencies, because the executive is so completely incoherent that South Africans and the international community have lost hope in the ANC's ability to get their act together even after their conference. And we find ourselves exiting 2017 with Mr. Zuma still in the union buildings, the downgraded president of a downgraded economy. But despite all this, there have been highlights. The stellar work done by the ad hoc committee on the SABC board inquiry across all parties. The portfolio committee across all parties handling of the SASSA crisis, and this goes for Scopa as well. Of course, the decision to allow a secret ballot by the Speaker. The portfolio committee's stellar work in the Public Enterprises Eskom inquiry. The consensus that has characterised our work in programming and the Chief Whip's Forum, and the wonderful celebrations we had around our Constitution. And perhaps all these challenges that we faced in 2017 have underscored more than ever before the important and essential role that this Parliament should be playing. We, all of us in this House, really are among the last watchmen left on the walls of our democracy. And never in the democratic history of our nation has this role been more essential or crucial. American slavery abolitionist Wendell Phillips bequeathed us the well-known quote that, and I quote, "Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty," unquote. But he went further to say, and I quote, "The hand entrusted with power becomes, either from human depravity or esprit de corps, the necessary enemy of the people. Only by continued oversight can the Democrat in office be prevented from hardening into a despot. Only by unintermitted agitation can a people be sufficiently awake to principle not to let liberty be smothered in material property," unquote. The reality is that state capture did not emerge overnight. It didn't just spring up. It was a carefully planned process, a process that developed slowly, methodically, and with maximum malice. And it happened in full view of those in the executive who should have been watching and who should have known better, and who should, when the opposition raised the alarm, acted sooner. Our vigilance has never been more important now than it is now. This is a task no member of this House should take lightly or devalue, no matter the party T-shirt that they wear. We have seen, all of us, firsthand the deceitful forces that have captured key institutions of our state, subverting these institutions' original intentions to serve, benefit, and protect the people of South Africa, instead transforming them into ATMs and bodyguards for the connected few. We've seen the State Security Agency being turned into a political gossip factory that misses every single attack on our sovereignty and security as a nation, yet is never short of smears or crudely drawn intelligence reports to taint a political rival or a handy break-in at an opponent's premises. We've seen the elite corruption-busting scorpions castrated and replaced by the tame and caged hawks. They are so captured, corrupted, and compromised that we should rename them the lovebirds instead. We've seen SARS go from an internationally respected and acclaimed collection agency into a veritable rogues gallery of insiders and captured individuals whose only aim is to ensure their rich buddies get away with even more public money than they've already stolen. And that is why we, all of us, are called upon to now break the cynical cycle of corruption and capture. Since we have now passed the halfway mark of this fifth Parliament's life, it's a good time to examine the role of the House and its place in our democracy. And there can be no better stimulus for this discussion than the recently released high-level panel assessment of key legislation and the acceleration of fundamental change. It's a welcome body of work, and I really do hope that members, after the events at Nasrec, will spend their Christmas recess studying it closely. But I do think that we should pause and ask ourselves, as members of this House, why? Why was it that a high-level panel had to find that 0.4% of our GDP is spent on land reform, and this last year saw the lowest amount of land transferred since 1994? The fact that 13,974 tourists or investors were denied boarding on South African-bound flights because of the disastrous unabridged birth certificate policy. Thanks to this policy, we're likely to lose 578,000 tourists per year, a loss of over 7.51 billion rand. And I bet the former Home Affairs Minister and current Finance Minister could really do with that 7 billion rand right now. And who knows how many jobs have been lost. It also found that Parliament remains far too dependent on the executive, which operates in silos to draft law. This manifests a lack of integrated approach. The truth is that we should have been doing this work. We should have been doing the monitoring, and we should have been doing the engagement. And we can only do this if we're empowered as members of Parliament to do so. We have been set as watchmen on the wall by people of South Africa. It's their interest we must always safeguard. Our duties have been assigned to us by the Constitution of the Republic, and we must always meet them. For it is us that will be held accountable if the walls of democracy are breached by the forces of evil and tyranny. As Ezekiel 6 verse 3 says, and I quote, "If the watchman sees the enemy coming and doesn't sound the alarm to warn the people, he is responsible for their captivity and he will be held accountable," unquote. We have much work to do in 2018 to improve our vigilance and resolve to transform this House into a true arena of accountability, a people-centered institution, and one that genuinely advances interests, hopes, dreams, and aspirations of all our people. Let me end by thanking all of those people who operate behind the scenes, who keep our Parliament running. Let me also extend a very big thank you to the NA table for their hard work, long hours, and dedication, Mr. Qaso, Mr. Mshlangu, Mr. Mbanjwa, and their officers for their patience and always unfailing willingness to assist. I think we should also extend a thank you to the Acting Secretary, Mrs. Penny Tiawa, who stepped into her position in very difficult circumstances and has, in the short time she's been there, transformed the draconian and oppressive management style that existed before. To my opposite number, the Chief Whip, Jackson Mthembu, and his Deputy, Doris Lakudi, thank you for your leadership of the whippery of the House. Thanks to the Chief Whips of the other opposition parties who have worked so hard and so well this year, and for the terrific cooperation. And I think we should remember specifically, as we close this annual session, Honourable Tim Causa and Honourable Tanya Baker, who both lost their lives in service of this House and their nation, and we remember them today with respect and affection. I wish you well during this Christmas period and hope that you enjoy your time away with your families. Come back rested and well. We have a lot of work to do in 2018. And we look forward to seeing you all when we resume the people's business. And the people we must remember are, as I end with a quote from a poem by our very own Joan Marie Fudds, from her latest collection of poems, Humanity's Covenant with Life. Quote, "Waiting and waiting for a new tomorrow, The clouded horizon is pierced by silent hope that seeks beyond today. Thank you.